judicial review, we talk about generality, we talk about classification. My humble submission is that it's about end and means. End is what you want to achieve with the law. Means are how you want to achieve with the law. The purpose is immaterial for judiciary. So judiciary may be concerned with the purpose to just check whether the purpose is legitimate or not. But even if it is legitimate, it doesn't mean that it will be driven by the purpose to the extent that it will not scrutinize the means. It has to scrutinize the means. So if the purpose is illegitimate, that gives judiciary the ground to annul the law even before moving further. But if the purpose is legitimate, that by itself is not enough for the judiciary to uphold the law. So, the Indian standard of judicial review is, as we see in Article 14, reasonable classification and rational nexus. So rational nexus is whether there is a link between means and end or not. And when you create two classes, whether there is a intelligible differentia or not. Now, if you look at the proportionality standard of review, it's a four-pronged text. First is legitimate, whether the aim is legitimate or not. Then suitability. Suitability, my argument is that suitability is also about the link, whether end and means there is a connection or not, it's suitable or not. Third is necessity. So you have to show that amongst the available alternatives, there is no other less onerous or less restrictive alternative. And the fourth is balancing. Balancing would mean how do you balance competing interests? Let's say trade and environment. How do you balance trade and environment? So on all these four, you can scrutinize the regulation or the law, whether this law is valid or not, right? So the Indian standard, I would say that it's much limited, but proportionality standard is much wider. Now, when we talk about judicial review, we should also ask this question: how impartial are courts, right? So you can have the best of judicial process, right? You can have CPC, CRPC, IPC, Evidence Act, etc. But if the judge is not impartial, then the whole point of a fair judicial process goes down the drain. This movie is not about corruption. This movie is generally about our judicial process and very realistic. It's a multilingual movie. Number two. So judges, especially those judges that are nominated and not elevated in those nominations. So usually the public prosecutors or the government councils, right? Public councils. So let's say councils appearing for the municipal bodies or for Delhi police and so on and so forth. These councils are usually sometimes elevated as judges. But these are the people who have represented government in most cases. Then are they expected to give fair judgments? Are they expected to understand petitioner's point of view? And then you look at the quality of judgments and the quality of hearings. Hearings are not recorded, the reasoning is not given, or the oral submissions are not recorded. And these are the issues that adversely impact our judicial system. So there is one organization, it's called World Justice Project, that measures the rule of law. And they have created something called as the Rule of Law Index. So what it has sought to do, a World Justice Project, it has created some parameters, and these are those parameters. And for example, this is India's score. This is 2017 data, but you can always check online the latest data.